Okay, so the first question in 2019 paper was the question from the human body, and the question was as follows. The diagram below shows a fetus in the uterus of a pregnant woman. So what you need to do, first you need to study the diagram, the entire diagram. Take note of the named parts and those parts that are named by letters. You take note of them. Once I've done that, then you go to the questions. So question 1A was as follows. Identify the structures labeled G and H. So the structures that are labeled G and H, you can see the G there and the H here. So when you follow the lines, when you follow these lines, they are taking you to the part that is labeled G. So as you can see, the labeled parts G, that is the umbilical cord, and the part labeled H is amnion. Okay, it is amnion. So we can write our answer to say the part G, we can write there on top on the right side of the screen, which is 1, which is A, 1A, G is umbilical cord, B, G is umbilical cord. Then what is the name given to the part labeled H? That one is H is amnion. Okay, amnion is the part labeled H. Now let's come to question 1B, which is state the function of structure I. So as well as here, we need to also identify the part labeled I. So I, as you can see, is CA, and the part is this, sorry, not the way I've drawn it. So the part which is being shown there is this. Okay, that's a part being shown, and the letter H is CA. Okay, so if that is so not letter H but the letter I is there. So if that is the part labeled I, what is it? First, before we give it its function, we need to know the name of that part. So that part which is labeled I is called the amniotic fluid. So that space comprises of liquids. Okay, so what is the function of the liquids in that area? So we are saying the first function of the liquid in that area is it maintains constant temperature around the fetus. Okay, now you should know that when the child is in the mother's womb, the main source of heat is the mother. The mother generates the heat that the child uses. So when the heat is coming from the mother, that means for the child to have a constant temperature, it should pass through the amniotic fluid to reach the child. So one of its function of the amniotic fluid will be to maintain constant temperature. Okay, if the child loses a lot of heat, that means the amniotic fluid will also bring a lot of heat. If the child has higher heat, that means it also gets some heat from the child to the outside, which is the mother. Okay, so that is the other function. That's the one function of the amniotic fluid. Okay, the other function is it protects the fetus from mechanical shock. Okay, let's say the mother get involved into a fight, okay, with anyone. It can be a fellow lady, or the father tends to be violent. Then when the father maybe intentionally or accidentally punches the woman in the stomach or in the womb where the child is, the impact of the punch will be absorbed by the amniotic fluid. Okay, it's a bad example to be a husband that beats a wife, but if it comes to that extent, it will help. Or in a natural environment, maybe the mother bumps into something and fall down, and the belly goes first. The amniotic fluid will be there to absorb the shock. Okay, so the amniotic fluid is also a shock absorber. Now here I should also tell you that in this question B, they're asking you to state one function. So as you can see here, when they say state, they didn't say functions, they are saying function. And when you look at the marks given, it's only one mark given. So that means they want you to state one function. So I'm going to give you 3 with the extra 2. You pick the one that is you're comfortable with. I'm sure when I give you 3, if you master 2, I'm sure generally in an exam they will just ask you for 2, at least 2, not more than 2. Okay, so the third one we're going to say, the other function is it helps the fetus to remain hydrated. Okay, so the amniotic fluid around the baby helps the baby to be hydrated, the child not to lose water. It helps the child not to lose a lot of water and remain with less water. So the child will be always hydrated because he or she is in the environment of made of liquids. So there is a lot of liquid around him that will help the child to remain hydrated. Okay, so basically from those 3 you can pick one and write it as a function of structure I. Okay, please, if you have got questions, we'll be responding to your questions in the comment section. So question C was as follows: complete the stages of embryo development by filling in blank spaces 1 and 4. So we need to fill in blank spaces 1 and 4. So what happens first before the embryo becomes an embryo? What is it called first in the early stage of the fetus? What is the embryo called? So we immediately the conception happens, immediately there is a meeting of the sperm and the egg. What is formed is zygote. So zygote, in another words, is called the fertilized egg. So when the sperm and the egg meet, they get fertilized and form a zygote, which is called fertilized egg. Okay, so the first stage is zygote. Then the zygote will develop into an embryo. Then when a baby is fully formed, it will be called a fetus. Okay, after the baby is called a fetus, then it's going to be called a baby. Okay, this is when the baby is born. Sometimes it's called newborn. It can be newborn baby or newborn. Okay, but basically if you filled in these gaps with these words, then you have gotten 2 marks. Okay, we come to question number 1D. If the fetus in the diagram was conceived on 20th February this year, predict the date of delivery of the baby. Okay, so we asked to say this baby was conceived on 20th February. That's when the egg got fertilized, or that's when the sperm met the egg, okay, in the oviduct. So if the baby got conceived on 20th February, what will be the date of being born? Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come up with a simple calendar which consists of few months. Okay, so we are going to have February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, up to December. Okay, now let's say this child was conceived on 20th February. That means on 20th March the pregnancy will have 1 month. Okay, and so it will be clocking a month on 20th of every month. Okay, it will be clocking a month on every 20th of the month. Okay, so now we ask to predict the date the child will be delivered. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to count the months. Okay, so February, that is 0 month. March is first month. April 2nd, May 3rd, 4th, July 5th, August 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Okay, so when we count the months considering the date of conceiving, on 1 March will be, or 20th March will be the first month of the pregnancy. That means the pregnancy will have 1 month. Okay, then April, the pregnancy will be 2 months old. May, the pregnancy will be 3 months old. June, the pregnancy will be 4 months old. July, the pregnancy will be 5 months old. August, the pregnancy will be 6 months old. September, the pregnancy will be 7th month old. October, the pregnancy will be 8 months old. November, the pregnancy will be 9 months old. December, the pregnancy will be 10 months old. Okay, so now what we need to do is, now for us to find the date on which this child will be born, we should also have the knowledge of gestation period. So the human gestation period is either 9 months or 36 weeks or 270 days. Okay, so when you're calculating the month, the gestation period of a human in months, it's going to be 9 months. In weeks, it's going to be 36 weeks. In days, it's going to be 270 days. Okay, so now here when we look at when we counted the months, we notice that it will have 9 months in November. It will clock 9 months. So therefore, we can predict that the child will be born on 20th November 2019, or the same year. Okay, 20th November 2019, or we can say 20th November the same year. Okay, so the child will be born on 20th November 2019. Since the child was the child was conceived on 20th February, that means the child will be born on 20th November 2019. Now, since we are predicting, answers will be acceptable if you say 19 November, if you say 21 November, 22 November, it will be acceptable because they are close to the actual date. Okay, remember we're just giving the approximation of delivery date. So basically, these were the answers you are supposed to write. If you have got questions, you can ask in the comment section. If you have not seen where I've put our final answer, it's down here. Okay, it's down there. That's where the answer is, which is 20th November. Okay, if you have no questions, like I said earlier on, we can go to the next question.